if you grow to a level, you find out that your concern will be more of protecting your capital than making excess profits.
And we're live, traders. Welcome back to another episode of the Trader Profit series here on the BluFX YouTube channel. So we've got another trader here to share their experience trading and also on the BluFX platform. Please take it away, Samson. Introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you and your trading background overall.
Okay, my name is Samson Ejabula Jumemu, aka Adjums. I'm a husband, a father, and a forex trader. I've been trading for about 13 years now, and it has been cool.
18 years, you say?
13 years.
13, excuse me. 13 years. That's an incredible amount of time. And a question I always love to ask our traders who've been trading for a longer period of time. How's the market changed since then? I mean, a lot more people are trading Forex nowadays. There's a lot more education available nowadays. There's a lot more accessibility into the Forex market these days and the markets overall, whether that's stocks, commodities, etc. How do you think trading has changed since back 13 years ago to when you started?
Oh, well, back when I started out, there were not too many persons in the game, so I didn't have too many persons to look up to. I was just by myself. In fact, as a matter of fact, the person who introduced me to Forex kind of taught me. Right now, he's asking me to teach him again. So because as at that time, what we just did then was to read a few materials, and then some people go ahead to organize tutorials and seminars. But so after I went for one of such seminars, I had to go back on my own to, experience these things myself through real life trading. I guess a lot of persons back then were mostly demo trading, so they were not really paying attention to some of the things they needed to learn. So and that's one of the reasons why I actually like BluFX, because they're real. They go straight up to a real account, and when you start trading with a real account, you tend to put all the effort, you tend to pay attention to every little details you do on the platform, and then your trading skills. And with that, you can learn and grow from one step to another instead of just playing around with the demo account.
Of course, I think you're quite right in saying that when you trade a real account, it's a completely different ball game to trading a demo account. You take it a lot more seriously. I think the right trading psychology is definitely easier to manage when you know that you're actually trading with real live capital, and that's one of the biggest things for our traders at BluFX. I think you can do all the preparation in the world. You can have a very profitable system on a demo account, but when you take it live, sometimes people aren't prepared for that mentally in terms of now they're actually trading with real live capital. But as you say, I think it's definitely an upgrade to trade with live capital in the sense that you are more able to treat it seriously and you're more able to treat it like a professional. And I think that's one of our biggest goals for our traders here at BluFX, is for them to see trading as a profession. It's not a way to make money just quickly. It's not a way to make money today, tomorrow. It's a way to make money today, tomorrow, the next week, the next month, the next year, the next 5 years. This is a long-term investment, and that's kind of where we want our traders' mentality to be. Samson, I wanted to ask you, are you trading full-time at the moment, or are you sure about other employment as well?
I'm a full-time trader. For the past 10 years, I've been a full-time trader.
Wow, okay. Full-time trader for the past 10 years. Another question I want to ask you in which case, so when you became a full-time trader 10 years ago, how was that transition? You probably were working in employment before. How was the transition from sort of working for your money versus now actually just trading full-time? Like how did you come to that realization that you're now ready to make that jump, and how easy was that transition?
Okay, actually when I first heard about Forex and then I got into it, I saw the opportunity in Forex. I told myself that was just it for me. So I was ready to do anything to make sure I get to understand how it works and to be good at it. So I sacrificed a lot to get to where I am today. I actually, when I finished my my BSc program, I worked for 1 year with a company, and though that period of time I was still trading, so I was trading as a part-time trader then. So it came to a point where after I saved enough money to have as a starting capital that can generate enough for me to keep myself going on a monthly basis, I decided to resign and then enter into Forex full time. And since then, it has been cool. The the joy of growing your capital from one level to another, it's something I've come to become very proud of. So I can say it has been a very good transition, and we're still going, we're still pushing it up there. And thank God for a company like BluFX that has come to make it much more easier for us now.
Sure, and I'm definitely glad to hear that. I think making that transition, I think for a lot of our lives, I can certainly speak from my experience, that we've always been taught to be an employee and to work for somebody versus being able to trade full time. And I know that I very, very rarely meet a trader who just wants to trade part time. Everybody's ambition is to actually work their way up and build that skill to a level where they can trade consistently full time. You've been trading full time for the past 10 years now, and you know that consistency is the most important thing. But as I say, I think it's a goal for a lot of traders to actually transition from part-time, perhaps in a job they don't like, and they want to become a full-time trader. But one thing we will say at BluFX is to make sure they're approaching the markets with the right mentality. I think building that skill and building your skill set in the market, whether that's your own personal system, the way that you manage your trades, your trading psychology, your discipline, all of these things, building that skill set is going to be the key to actually reaching your target of becoming a full-time trader, because it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Because number one, you need the skills, but also number two, you need the capital, and of course that is where BluFX comes in as a solution, as you just mentioned. Moving forward, let's talk a bit more about your trading style in general. You said you've been trading for 13 years now, which is absolutely incredible amount of experience. How has your trading style progressed in that time? Did you perhaps start with more indicator style of trading and you progressed into price action, or the other way around, or what did you start? What was your first introduction into the market? How were you trading back then compared to how are you trading now?
Okay, so when I first started, I was introduced to a software, more like an EA. So it's called the Sniper software, something like that back then. That was like 13 years ago. So at some point it was working, but then at a period of time it stopped giving me the kind of result I really wanted. So I decided to do more of studies. I decided to pay more attention to how the market works. So I was gaining a lot of experience, and with that I was forming my own strategies. And when it got to a point, I decided to, uninstall the software and started doing my analysis manually. Back then, I was very, very keen with fundamentals using the Forex Factory website. So I got to understand perfectly well how to read the news and trade the news a lot. And while I was also developing myself on the technical aspects, so I can say pretty most of my trade back then was mostly based on fundamentals, but then for the past couple of years now, I've come to really understand the technical aspect very well, and that is what I've been using. And currently I only trade the fundamentals when I see very, very high impact news. Aside that, I'm just fully technical, and I can say it's been very, very nice. I'm doing very well with it.
Definitely good to hear. Actually, I mentioned earlier on, before we started rolling, we got the interest rate decision today for the United States, which is obviously a very big day in the fundamental calendar. How are you approaching that today? Are you in any positions at the moment? And I wanted to ask you, if you are in a position, let's say right now you're buying the excuse me, the pound to the dollar. How do you approach that now? Are you somebody who leaves the market before the fundamental event? Are you somebody who adjusts your stop at that time? If you're in an active trade, a big fundamental event is coming, how do you approach that? What's your take on that?
Okay, today I'm going to do what I used to do back then when I'm trading fundamentals, and it's basically very simple strategy I use. What I do is an hour to the news, I close every existing trade, every running trade, and then few minutes to the news, let's say by 4 to 5 minutes to the news, I open my account. I go to my account on 2 different devices because it has to be a very swift move. When the news comes out, the market spikes up immediately.
Right.
So what I do is I set a pending order using my 2 devices, one on the buy stop and then the other on the sell stop. So I take 10 pips above the current price and 10 pips below for my stop loss. Maybe since it's FOMC, I'm expecting a movement of nothing less than 60 pips. So what I go for most times is 50. So what I do, I put the buy stop order 10 pips away from the current, the 10 pips above the current price.
Right.
And I put it first stop order 10 pips, below the current price. So when it is a minute or so to the news, a few seconds, at that point, I'm very, very keen. I'm very, very serious and very active with the sites. I refresh every second. And then when it's just a few seconds to the news to come out, I click on both entries, the buy stop and the sell stop. So when the news comes out, the direction it goes takes me in, and most times it just within a few seconds I'm in and out, and that was how I basically trade the news back then. So I think I'm going to do that today by 7 p.m. as well.
Sure. Again, today big day for fundamental events, as I mentioned, but it's interesting to see your take on fundamental events. I know a lot of people will actually stay out of the markets completely when they see fundamental events. Some people will get in the market, especially for a fundamental event. Let's say NFP is coming up. They think it's going to go short, and they go short. Because let's be honest, these fundamental events are big catalysts in the markets. They can create big moves that you can definitely capitalize on as a trader. But again, you have to also, if you're in an active trade, you have to know what you're going to do to it in terms of adjusting your risk or doing exactly what you said. It seems like you've definitely got a system in place for that, so it's definitely good to hear. Now, moving forward, I want to ask you a broader question about trading psychology and how that you have managed your trading psychology to reach the success that you have. Is trading psychology something that you've ever struggled with, or something that you feel like is one of your strengths as a trader? How do you approach trading psychology, and how important do you feel it is to you as a trader?
Okay. When I first started, that was a big problem, as it is with every trader that comes on board. So, but then it takes consciousness and a whole lot of effort for you to be able to build past that. And I think it's very necessary for everyone to do that. So I think when one of the biggest problem in trying to solve that is you trying to make so much money overnight. That's where most traders find it difficult to overcome trading psychology. So, but then if you grow to a level, you find out that your concern will be more of protecting your capital than making excess profits. Startup, when you're starting up and you have very small amount of money to start up, your concern then is just how to grow the money very fast and have a whole lot to trade with. But then there's a level you get to, you understand that it's far more important to ensure that your capital is secured, and then whatever you have as profits should be good enough for you. So I guess I'm in that level right now where I think protecting my capital is far more important for me than just the profit I need to make. So whatever I'm targeting as my profit, I also need to first of all calculate the risk I'm taking. So, and that in a whole lot of ways has affected my trading psychology, because it helps me to know the kind of trades I should be taking and the kind of trade I shouldn't be taking. It helps me to know when I should leave the market and when I shouldn't leave the market. It helps me to know the lot size I should take and the ones I shouldn't take. It helps me to know how to manage my losses and how to celebrate my wins. And that's just basically what the trading psychology has helped me to learn over time.
Sure, I think it's really important what you said there is that having that sort of, you progress as a trader. The first goal when we get into the market is to make money, but as you progress, as you become more mature as a trader, you start to understand how you're actually, most importantly, the first thing you need to do before you even think about making money is conserving the capital that you have and put yourself in a position where you're not at massive danger of losing the capital that you have. I think that is a more advanced mindset. It takes a little time to kind of develop, but I think having that switch from, am I trying to make money here? Am I trying to conserve my capital? And knowing the difference is super important for maintaining a healthy level of psychology and also instilling some discipline within your trading system. So really good to hear your take. So thank you for sharing that. But let's move on to the BluFX side of things. They're all important questions. First question that I want to ask you, Samson, is are you trading a light or pro account at the moment?
I'm trading a pro account now. But
Okay,
I started with
if you're on the pro account now, sorry to interrupt you. If you're on the pro account now, are you looking to grow that account to high levels of funding? Are you looking to take an income from that account? What's your goal with this pro account? Are you trying to hit that $1 million level, or what's your sort of plan for now?
Yeah, definitely. That's the goal. That's the goal. The 1 million fund manager account is actually the most interesting thing for me regarding the BluFX package. Actually, when I saw your site on Google, I checked out your platform. I saw that you have two different account types, the light and then the pro. So when I saw the opportunity to grow the account and make the 1 million target, I actually wanted to go for that because that was actually what my mind was up for. But because I'm new with your site, I wanted to ensure I take my time to study and understand the genuity of what you guys do. So I decided to go first for the light account and just for me to be able to test out the payout and the withdrawal system and all that.
Sure,
So,
sure, sure, sure.
so I signed up for the light, and then in 6 weeks or thereabout, I was able to meet up the target, and I made the upgrade to the pro account and also made a withdrawal as well.
Fantastic. Let's talk about withdrawals a little bit actually. How many times have you actually hit your payout now on light and the pro account? How many times have you hit your? How many withdrawals have you made at BluFX?
No, just once. I signed up 20th of September, and
Wow.
and I think on the 22nd or thereabout of October, I hit my target. So that was pretty much about 1 month, 1 week or so. So I made the withdrawal and upgraded immediately to the pro account.
I think that is the approach that I always tell our traders is like you can always start on the light account, you can always start on the pro account, hit your target, withdraw the money, and if you want to use that money to go towards your next couple of months subscription, that means you're completely covered in that way. But to
Yeah.
hear that you had some great success on the platform already is definitely very interesting to hear, and it's great to hear. At BluFX, all we want is our traders to do well, and people who come into the platform with the right mentality, the right mindset. Somebody, as you say, who's got their trading psychology and check their discipline. They're thinking about conserving their capital. It's quite clear to see sometimes the traders who come in with the right mentality and approach the markets in the right way. And someone like yourself has obviously hit the ground running. You've had some great success so far, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing more from you in the future. Samson, I'm going to wrap things up here. There's always a question I ask our traders when they come on the show, is if there's one piece of advice you would give a trader who is new to the markets, somebody who's watching this interview right now, they're inspired by your story, they want the same level of success as you've achieved on the BluFX platform, what one piece of advice would you give them?
Okay, I want them to understand that their capital is far more important than the dividend of their capital. So whatever they do, they should try to make sure they secure their capital by all means. And then whatever they make as profits should be celebrated and good enough for them. And they should try to gain more experience. Every single day they get in the market, they should learn something. For making profits, they should learn something. I learn things every day on trading, and I use that to formulate different strategies. That's what I do basically. So that's what I want them to know. They should learn to secure their capital. There is nothing glorifying about blowing out an account. You know, I think blowing out an account is something that should not be associated with the professional forex trader.
Sure.
So it's not something I'll advise them to get used to. A lot of people get used to blowing accounts. They open an account and they trade for 2 weeks and then their account is gone. So it's really not something that should be celebrated.
Absolutely. I think this whole mentality, I think I see it as well. People, they come to the markets with this idea is they're going to blow their entire account or they're going to double it or triple it. I don't really think that's the right approach to make. I think being a professional trader is not to have a risk of blowing your account entirely or doubling it the next day, because that basically means that it's impossible to follow any normal risk structure. So again, appreciate you sharing your story with us, Samson, and I'm wishing you all the best with the trading in the future.